Hello, good morning. Most shows, all those shows that would start like, what's that one thing today that's going to change your business? We're going to tell you what it is in just a few short seconds after we tell you how great we are. We're not that. No, not us. We believe that that's the wrong way to approach things. As renegades, and this guy and I are renegades, truly, we want to provoke your thoughts and engage your mind so that you can develop your own solutions to your individual challenges, not our challenges. What works for us may work for you, it may not. But one thing I'm going to guarantee for you, in the next 15 to 18 minutes, we're going to get you to a place where you have a decisive action to take. This is the show where you're going to figure out what that action can be. So I encourage you to listen up, pay attention, start participating in your mind with us, because right there you got the great Tom Brush. I'm Bob Graham, and this is today's Antidote. Oh!
Look at you. Good morning, Bob.
Put that one in the highlight reel, baby.
We'll have to clip that one out. Clip that out as like, here's our welcome.
If only.
When we become big.
Not what. Yes, when, not if. When.
I didn't say if. I said.
I like that. That's good.
How
are you?
I'm not dealing with some internal obstacles today. I'm fighting through them all.
Okay, you and me both, buddy. I'm with you. So our topic today is, we talked yesterday about trap doors, and today we're going to talk about some of the internal obstacles that we all face in trying to achieve what we're meant to achieve. And I said that advisedly, what we're meant to achieve, not what we want to achieve, what we think we should achieve, but what we're meant to achieve. Because as I work with more people in my coaching business and in training, I realize that often what gets in the way of people is their resistance to what is meant to be. And everyone sees it, and often the person is afraid to take that leap and go towards what would ultimately make them great and happy. And we were talking about an example of that earlier today, Tom, you and me, someone we both know, and that person's reluctance in many ways to just be who they are and let the work find them, the opportunities find them. Right. So throw some thoughts on this idea of internal obstacles.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that the internal ones, sometimes we already know. And we kind of know they're there waiting, and like, when are they going to, like the trapdoor analogy, when are they going to open and we're going to fall through? And I think sometimes that causes us to hesitate before we take that step. Like, is this step the step that's going to fall through? It's going to drive me into that, despair of wherever it is, or just into a feeling or a place that I just can't keep moving forward. And I think that's so there are those. There are those that we kind of know about and are worried, like, okay, when's it going to rear its ugly head? And then I think there are those that we have yet to discover, that we only start to discover as we move through something and feel like everything has got to be perfect before I move forward. Or I need more research. I just need to keep looking at it. The date's not right. We need to keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And really, some of those hesitancies are about the trapdoors we're afraid of because we know about them. We know they're lying in our way, and we just don't want to take the wrong step.
And sometimes I think we also invent trapdoors that, because it's easier to have trapdoors. So for instance, one of my internal traps is I need to do more research. I need to understand something more and more and more before I can pull the trigger and actually do it. I see I'm spinning. Can never get.
You're back. You're good.
I'm back.
Just keep going. Roll with it.
The more I push myself out of my comfort zone, the more I want to research, the more I want to understand things. And it's funny because I know intellectually, the further I get out of my comfort zone, the less I understand things. There's no way I could understand it. Hence, it's not my comfort zone. But my go-to response is, let me read a book this weekend about this thing, or let me find an article. Let me insulate myself from the fear of failure by having, or the fear of success, I'm not even sure which, by having another book to read, right?
Interesting that you came up with that. Here's a great quote from Tim. Not sure why it shows up at first Facebook user, but my bugaboos. When's the last time you used that word? Analysis.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've never used that word. I couldn't even spell it.
Well, I couldn't spell it if you asked me to, but I guarantee you've used that word at some point. He tends to over-research. Funny, Tim and Bob are feeling the same way. And I think it's, we all have that in us. In some regards, it's like, when is it right? And is what I have now ready? Or is it I just have to go with it? It's funny. We've been talking about something ourselves. And I feel like it's something that in some regards we're waiting for the perfect time.
Guilty. I saw it coming.
And, I think that sometimes we just need to move forward through that. And a part of that is either it's got to be perfect or it has to be our own. Like, we have to own it so that the content is really ours, not that we're just putting a little spin on somebody else's thoughts. What do you think about that?
I think that to anyone who's watching this or listening to this, this is going to make a whole lot of sense to you in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 days, in a way that it doesn't right now. But Tom and I are trying to put together some things, and we've been seeing what other people are doing. We've been talking to ourselves, and one or both of us, usually me, frankly, has been finding an excuse to delay it every time we get really close. And it's not, and I will be straight honest with you, Tom. I have my fears. It goes out into the world, and if it's rejected, and this is where I'm having a little epiphany right now. It's one thing if something I do is rejected. It's another thing if you and I do something together and it's rejected because I feel like I will let you down. And that is really, it just hit me. It's like, that's what's weighing on me. It's like, I don't want to be the one to have to sit with Tom and go, Tom, I thought this was a good idea. And even though we worked on it together, you and I have never done an idea where we've dropped, where it hasn't worked the way we wanted. Although, actually, I guess we have, because do I have it here?
Oh no.
Yeah. Look, I got that. Remember these?
I can't really see it.
This is our Creating Clarity Over Coffee, Seeing 2020 with Clear Eyes brochure from Thursday, November 21st of last year, 8 to 11:30 a.m. at the Holiday Inn in Timonium. How was that event, Tom?
What's funny is, think about if we had that event. We didn't know anything that was happening right now. We would have talked about although I think actually what we would have talked about is how do you get prepared? And how do you not just, you have a plan, but you have to understand that within that plan, things are going to happen. And yeah, something happened in 2020 that pushed a lot of people off of their initial plans. And in some regards, it's pushed them into better plans. It
certainly set us up for this.
Correct.
All that we're doing. There's no doubt in my mind, because it was the first time you and I really got together. But it's funny because we're two people that coach people, and we know we can find these obstacles in people very easily and coach them through them. And Tom and I probably coach each other through obstacles a lot, but still we have obstacles that are blocking us. And I think that might be the thing to think about this morning for people, that even though Tom and I are wired to fix these problems, help people with it all the time, and we can help each other, we still, for 3 weeks now, Tom, have been dragging our feet?
Maybe.
It feels like,
it feels longer, actually.
I was going to say, I think it's been a month.
Yeah, I don't know that it's been that clear that long, but you're right. And here's a great quote from John. Of course, John has some great words of wisdom, as always. Very simple. There is never a perfect time. He's absolutely right. He's like, you can think that everything is perfect. Oops. And Peter says, I relate to own it. So I think that he's right, that and a good friend of mine who's very wise says that, and it's all research.
And it's not me, right?
Well, you are a good friend of mine and you are very wise, but in this case, it's not about you.
I just wanted to be clear because at first I thought, oh, he's talking about me. And then I realized, no, he wasn't.
No, and they say that really everything we do is research. Everything, whether it's, you put something out there, you share something, and you kind of get feedback from it. Whether it's good, bad, and different, you're getting feedback to help you move to the next step. And I think, like Tim says, it's never perfect. There's never a perfect time. There's never a perfect launch. There's never a perfect product. Everybody is always tweaking and adjusting and fixing, kind of like that plane you talked about at one point, Bob, the self-piloting plane.
The plane on automatic pilot that 95% of the time is course correcting?
Correct.
That one?
That's that one. And I think that's where we all are. We all think that we have a goal and we're going to get there perfectly. Well, there's all these other things that are going to influence us. And we're going to get up every day and there's going to be a change in influence. And we just have to figure out how we keep shifting so that we avoid our internal trapdoors. So maybe we step a little bit to the right today and then we take 2 steps forward and we got to shift back to the left. But in the end, we're going to get there. It's just never a perfectly straight line.
And I think the other thing that hits me right now as you say that is we're all doing that. Even the most direct person in the world that I know, they're still course correcting. They do not have, and I think that's one of the fallacies we often concoct in our head is everyone else has a clear vision of what they're doing every day. Why am I the one who's confused and lost? And the reality is everyone's lost at some point. Some just don't show it externally. Some show it, but they show it to very small select people. And then there are those who do it out in the open. Like I think of, I was watching the Jimmy Fallon show over the last couple of weeks. I've caught it sometimes because I don't sleep that well. And talk about course correction because they were at home with no audience and doing comedy when there's no audience to feed off of for the first couple of weeks was bad. really bad. But they stayed with it. And now they know how to play off. I think for Jimmy Fallon, his wife is filming him and he's playing off her. And he's figured it out over time. And that's a really public thing. I mean, when you're a late night show comedian, you've got to figure that out. You're getting paid big money. Right. You can't bomb for a long time. But it was not perfect the first day out. And it never is. Right.
Here's a great quote from Scott. Or a statement.
Hey, great to see you, Scott. Good morning.
So what if you do this thing and it doesn't work out the way you plan? I'd imagine you find a way to keep moving forward. The world doesn't come to an end. I think he says tweak it and keep moving. Keep it moving. He's absolutely right. I think that's, and you look at Facebook, for example. How many versions of Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, every day they're course correcting because they find ways to make it a little different, sometimes better, sometimes not. And then they have to keep shifting it to keep growing the product. And I think that's it, is that as long as we keep growing and learning from what we do, those trapdoors are just little things that keep us course correcting until we get to the right place. We just keep adjusting till we find the point we want to be at. And the funny thing is, usually when we find that point, there's a new point that we want to get to. Because along the way, we've discovered, well, if we can do this, and we got to the point where we said, Facebook finally said, well, we can post videos. Okay, that was great for a while. Well, what if we could do videos live? So now you're shifting and moving and adjusting and so then it becomes, well, what's the next thing? And I think we're always gathering more information to keep adjusting, to get us to where we want to be. And then we have new things that we want to achieve.
I couldn't put it better. So, Tom, it's Tuesday. What's that one thing you think we should do to make things move forward? That little...
Not have you freeze. That would be one.
No. If only.
That's the trap door. I mean, we never really know when it's going to happen. I think that it's not, everything is never going to be perfect. And that it's interesting. This other friend of mine who talked about research says your timing is perfect, which I think is a very powerful statement. Is like, it has nothing to do with where it is. It's like, when you decide it's time, now it's time and it's perfect to move forward. So know that it will never be perfect. You just move forward and figure out where to go.
I like that. I'm going to suggest that people take some action today around something specifically to overcome their internal trapdoor, their internal obstacle, some little thing that you can do, whether it's, take a step towards doing something you've always wanted to do and you couldn't do it. I talked to a friend who wanted to write a book. He's been talking about writing a book for years. And I was like, you got all this time. You're on furlough. Start writing the book. What are you waiting for? And I would challenge him today to open the computer file and start writing. It may be horrible. It may be the greatest work in the world, but at least if he starts writing, he's no longer talking about writing a book. He's writing a book. And I've written several books. And the first thing you do when you write a book is you have to start the first sentence, and then the second sentence, and the third one. And before long, you have a string of sentences, and you rarely use the first sentence in the final draft.
Interesting.
But it's the starting point. It's the thing that gets you on the horse, that gets you going. And the books I've written, the newspaper articles I've written, the magazine articles I've written, the press releases I've written, what I would argue is you don't have writer's block. You just start to write, and then you find your way. Right. And often the last sentence I write turns out to be the first sentence, because I finally figure out what the heck I was trying to say, and then I revise it based on that. But if I don't write the first sentence, I can guarantee I will never have the last sentence.
That is absolutely 100% true.
I am so happy, look at me. So folks, if you want more of this kind of thing, come to the Ring of Renegades, a Facebook group where you can join other people like Tom and me and John and Scott and Neil and a whole cast of real renegades who are really trying to make a difference. They're posting live videos, they're posting other videos, they're posting links, they're posting all kinds of really great information that can change how you look at your business world every single day. So that's the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. You can look for that. And we are going to be doing something special this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to be talking about networking, but not the normal networking. We're going to talk about how Renegades network, which is going to set us up for Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, when we will actually be doing the Unnetworking Network event with the Ring of Renegades and their friends and other people. And this is going to be unlike any networking event you have ever done. You are going to learn more about the people, and you're actually going to want to talk to them. You're going to be eager to go deeper with them. So you better book some time, not just at 4 p.m. Thursday Eastern time for this event, but on Friday to do the follow-ups, because you are going to be so inspired and excited that you will actually follow up with people willingly and happily, and it may lead to more business for you. How is that for a great promo, Tom?
That's a great promo. And I would also offer, you don't need to bring any business cards. You don't need to work on your 30-second elevator pitch.
That's right. That's the last thing we want.
Yeah. Just show up.
Don't
worry about benefits and services and what am I going to promote today? This is about connecting and engaging and growing your network, strengthening your network.
Exactly. So if you want a little tease for that, 4 p.m. today Eastern time, we're going to be doing a live in the Ring of Renegades, talking about how to network. Tom and I see networking a little differently than most people, and we're going to sort of set that up for you. And then Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we'll actually do that Unnetworking Network event, which is going to be fun and fascinating both. With that, folks, another episode of today's Antidote. This one, to me, is probably going into the archive as our greatest hits. If we had a time capsule, Tom, I think I'd put this one in there so that generations from now, they could look back at today's Antidote and, it would probably be like, I don't want to go out on a limb, but maybe like the Bible of our generation, that they could really understand, or like Shakespeare, or, the what else?
I guess we wrote our first sentence. Is that what you're saying?
We are constantly writing our.
Probably with that might be a hard stop on Bob.
That's a sign. All right,
everybody,
folks.
have a great day. And we will see you hopefully this afternoon. If not, tomorrow again at 8:30 Eastern Time for the edition of today's Antidote. Take care, everyone.